Great to have you with us. In our first story, Ghanaian vehicle manufacturing firm Kantanka has unveiled what it says is one-of-a-kind luxury vehicle. The car, which was unveiled at its annual Technology and Agricultural Exhibition fair yesterday, has the looks and interior similar to that of an aircraft. It does not have wings though and cannot fly, but is set to rival the limousine and other luxury vehicles. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and many other dignitaries attended the exhibition. We bring you more in the following report.
Patrons of the 39th Annual Technology and Agricultural Exhibition of Christo Asafo were treated to the sight of an all-new mini aeroplane-sized vehicle, 40 feet in length, the latest innovation by Kantanka. The automobile is called Kantanka Mo, meaning well done Kantanka. The red vehicle parked across the Awashi fields attracted loud applause, wonder and excitement from the audience gathered there. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who spoke as guest speaker for the occasion, lauded the initiative, describing it as one of a kind.
I do not know if this machine is a car or airplane. It is indeed wonderful, one in the world. I've been told none exist anywhere else. I believe it. Let us give him a round of applause.
The paramount chief of the Akwemu State, Odeneho Kwafu Akoto III, called for state support for the Kantanka industry.
We appeal to government. Engineer Safo needs to be assisted. Tax exemption is a major example that can propel the Kantanka company.
You send your how I say one tax will be if you want this animal, and one should be manual. Now,
Founder and chief innovator behind the Kantanka group of companies, Apostle Kwejo Safo, called for a change in the education curriculum of Ghana to enhance practical technology for the state's development.
We are changing the nation, as the white man says.
It's a time to change Ghanaian curriculum.
Once this is done, we can become the pioneers of Africa. From here, other nations on the continent will learn too. This will spread the good knowledge across Africa.
Other items on display were organic food products from Kantanka Organic Farms, an armored personnel carrier vehicle equipped with CCTV and dozen missile firing system, V8 engine block, amongst others. The manufacturers have not indicated if Kantanka Mo will be commercialized. PSC Nanaya Osafo's report for JoyNews.
Now, the CEO of Kantanka Group spoke to JoyNews.
Always been the type that always wants to invent or innovate something that hasn't been made already in the world. So that was the main focus why he built the aircraft-like car that we outdoored yesterday at the 39th edition of the Tech and Agri show. People in town or in the world that might want to do something crazy or might want to do something unique, someone who want to ride in something like this, I mean, it's going to be available only based on order. It's like any other vehicle. If you look at our roads, as you said, our roads are small and all. We still have trailers on our roads. We still have tankers on our roads, and we still have limousines on our roads. So, I mean, the size of this vehicle, the length, the breadth of it is still something that can still be used for our system. You don't need a police or any kind of clearance for it, unless maybe DBA comes up with something about road, about our vehicle length or vehicle specifications that have certain restrictions. But to my knowledge, I don't think there are any restrictions whatsoever. Business has been great. I mean, 2019 has been a blessing. It's been. I don't even know how to say it. My company was ready to issue a statement in February about how things have been so far, how our year has been since even from the day that we launched Kantanka Automobile. But I mean, I would give a massive thanks to God, Ghanaians, the few ministries, districts, and also district and municipals that have really patronized and purchased Kantanka vehicles. We have a few vehicles being used by the ministries. As we speak now, we are yet to deliver about 160 vehicles to the Ministry of Education. We have a few of our vehicles with Forestry Commission. We have a few, National Security, Finance Minister, his ministry. We have a few vehicles out there. We've sold so much that for once I've even lost count of how many vehicles that we've sold just last year alone.
Now, we'll stay on the road because I'm sure although you might not be traveling this festive season, you are bothered about incidents and reports of road accidents. Worrying as that could be, another fear of travelers is security while on the roads. The police is often the first port of call in responding to these concerns, and they ensure safety during these times. Superintendent Alex Kweku Obeng is Director of Research and Training at the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, of the Ghana Police Service. He's here in studio to tell us more about what the service is doing to protect the lives and property of passengers during this festive season. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
So how are roads looking like as regards police presence, particularly at night, toward off-armed robbers?
All right. Thank you very much. I think, let me say Merry Christmas to you. In preparing ourselves for this year, Christmas, I think there is police administration through the Inspector General of Police launch Operation Father Christmas. It was hinged on the fact that during occasions like this, it's envisaged that there will be a lot of outward activities, social activities, including movement of vehicles and persons on particular roads that are known for such occasions. And it's in light of that about 15,000 police officers were briefed, trained, equipped, and deployed on all our roads and communities and crannies and alleyways to support our clients or members of the general public nocturnally and diurnally. And this strategy is being sustained. And when I say that, we want to say that we will see a lot of police officers on our road corridors, both day, patrolling, stopping, asking questions, directing, and in certain instances, searching. And on other areas, you also see traffic police officers deployed to the streets with gadgets to detect whether the drivers are complying with road rules, particularly speeding. That normally accounts for a lot of crashes. And then drink driving, which also influence behavior of drivers that makes them incompetent in handling vehicles. And this has been sustained over time with the support of National Road Safety Authority, for example, and the media. A lot of sensitizational activities and awareness creation on safe use of the road in terms of vehicular safety or vehicle safety, and then road users have reached far. And we can say generally that we're looking at the fatalities. If you compare with the same period last year, 24th and 26th, 2018 to 24th, and 26, 2019, when the Christmas peaked. Whilst last year we had registered 33 deaths, this year is 31. Though one death is one too many, but you can say in terms of mortality, there's a decrease of about 6%.
Across the country? Across
the country. But in terms of morbidity, injuries, we have seen a striking increase, and that is also worrying.
By how many?
Oh, we have seen an increase of about 40% over that of last year. Within the 3 days, we had registered 144 injured persons. However, this year is 203. That is worrying. However, in terms of deaths, we have seen about 6% decrease. Because last year, by now, 33 have died, and this year is 31. But I've said that one death is one too many. Our objective was to reduce it significantly to that of 2017. However, this is what we have been blessed with, and we take it like that, and we hope that preparing ourselves into the after, which is the Easter, starting tomorrow to Wednesday, we expect that with our enhanced vigilance, deployment, and saturation of the environment. And with the backing from you, we hope a lot of our road users will be deterred, given the behavior we put up during Christmas this year.
Which areas did we see most of these deaths and injuries? Okay.
I think when you look at it statistically, you observe that Ashanti region recorded, particularly Konongo, recorded about 11 deaths. And that is worrying because on the N6, we know it is busy from Circle to Swami Roundabout. It is one of our transit routes that also serve a lot of our regional, regional residents in Ghana. However, to have one crash claiming 7, it was a worrying, and particularly it was also between 2 high-risk vehicles, meaning commercial high occupancy, one from Serioso and one was to Accra and one from Accra to Sampa. And it happened at night, and that was our fear, and it happened, and it was so worrying. And that changed the color of our strategy. However, we are still resolved to ensure that where these incidents occurred, we take notice and enhance our sensitization and awareness creation on road users. But let us also know that in all these crashes, majority of those who died, in terms of gender, though we have more women in Ghana as compared to men, be it in terms of the general population. But in terms of deaths, when you look at our statistics, of the 31 deaths this year, men who constitute few of the national population accounted for 26. Okay, and that is worrying. Last year, 33 men accounted for 29, and therefore I've been emphasizing that men, we are not many, we are fewer as compared to the females. So we must learn from them because we have more female road users. But why is that when it comes to deaths, more the few road users are those who are victims? It's because we are recalcitrant. It's because we are not learning from our female counterpart road users. It's because we don't wear seatbelts as men. It's because we drink and drive and as compared to the women. It's because we drive and change lane anytime. We are tailgating, we are speeding, and we are doing all manner of things, including even jaywalking. And I think that the men should learn a cue from the women, because the more you are disciplined, the more you are law-abiding, the more you are ensure that your vehicle is well maintained and you give it to a safe driver, and the driver is driving it consistent with our road rules, there's likelihood of reduction in crashes that leads to minimal deaths and injuries and damage to property.
This is not the first time we are seeing a concentration in that Konongo area of accidents.
I think that if you look at the nature of the road we have, some of these things are also expected, because it's over time. Experts have talked about the fact that we have strategic national road network that serves some West African, landlocked West African countries, because they depend on our ports. And in times like this, there's high increase in fleet and movements, and they cut across the country from the south to the north, about 1,000 kilometers, in and out 2,000. And there's likelihood of somebody slipping off, there's likelihood of a tire getting burst, there's likelihood of one of the drivers getting annoyed and changing lane unexpectedly. And that is why the proponents...
Are you saying that they are not preventable?
That's why proponents are talking about dualizing most of these roads. Because where these high-long collisions are occurring, sections of this road that are not dualized. And because drivers get tired, they are tired and driving, fatigue, their vehicles get sometimes tire failure, and there are instances that the driver is also recalcitrant and want to change lane unlawfully. And in all these, with dualized road, any of these behaviors will not lead to headlong collision and all that. And so, as long as we continue to emphasize on sensitization and training, we think that one of the policy of Ghana, which we think seem to be lagging, is ensuring safer roads. And ensuring safer roads that with these many national resource routes that are called transit routes, from Aflawo to Alubo, from Accra to Paga, among others, we must invest in it to ensure that it's safer. And making it safer means that on these intercity links, they are dualized. And when it is dualized, and the driver sleeps behind the steering wheel. He veered off into the recoverable zone and hits maybe a bush. There's not much there you are expected. However, when you continue to keep the single roads, anytime a driver is tired, anytime a tire gets burst, anytime a driver put up a behavior contrary to the road safety tenets on our road, there's likelihood of head-on collision. As studies have shown, any head-on collision, because metals meet metal, there's likelihood of flesh getting torn and vehicle getting mangled and a lot there.
You told us about how there has this lower number of deaths and a high number of injuries, but what about number of crashes generally?
Yeah, generally there was also a worrying increase of 71%, because last year by now we had 78 crashes recorded in across the country, but this year is 168, and that is also not something that we are proud of.
Right. So, considering how there's a higher number of crashes generally, what are the learnings we are picking? What is the office doing to ensure that?
I think when you look at it statistically, you observe that with these crashes, commercial vehicles were 105, private vehicles were 112, and motorcycles were 55. All these were high increases, particularly motorcycles. It increased about 111%. If we compare the same period last year within the 3 days, we are learning from it, because it reinforces the fact that motorcycle has become part of our national vehicle resource, and there is a gap of enforcement. So we need to focus on it, moving on into next year.
Are they being used commercially?
I think they profuse use. Some generally there's no law that allows people to use it for commercial, but people we are all pretending and it's being used, and that's why I said there's a gap. We need to make policy to control it. Again, we observe that private vehicles seem to be creating problems. And among the vehicles that are creating problems, you see that out of the 112, 26 were SUVs, 4x4s. And then when you look at all these SUVs, the drivers behind these vehicles, steering wheels and behaving as if they are in heaven. In fact, they are drivers and they are misbehaving. And commercial vehicles, though fewer as compared to last year, but you realize that it kills 16 out of the 31. And so it is a challenge. So we have a commercial vehicles killing almost 50% of all the deaths that we've registered. It means that the policy of Ghana government and then the National Road Safety Authority and all the rest of us way to target high-risk commercial drivers that started this year has to be sustained. Because the more we do it, we hope that it will have impact. And if the impact is positive, you will begin to see fewer crashes involving commercial vehicles and fewer deaths and injuries. Let us also remind ourselves that those who died, of all these, 6 were also pedestrians. And it also communicates to us clearly that as law enforcers, as members of the general public, we need to also shift our attention there. And the more government provides such safe facilities, for example, those we have in between University of Ghana and West African Secondary School on the N4 between Medina to Adenta, such facilities as footbridges have to be used by the users, and therefore we are appealing to all pedestrians in Ghana. Wherever you are, if you want to cross the road, please, apart from looking left and right and crossing safely, ensure that you cross safely at where footbridges are provided. When there's time, I'll give you an example, so that when you are around Adenta, Medina, you know that we fought for footbridges. Government has invested in it. So when you are at a Firestone, one is the footage. When you get to Zongojan, there's one there, climb and go on it. When you get to La Quantanay, please mount on that one. And at Ridge Junction, do that. SDA, do same. And as those at West African Secretary, the people are using the footbridge. We expect the residents around the area, particularly the adults, to also do it for the children and the minors to emulate. And the same thing applies to all road corridors in Ghana that have been provided with safer crossing points. Please, let's use them. Footbridges, zebra crossing, pelican crossing, and when there's light, wait for the flashing, yellow person before you cross. And when you begin to do this, the more people comply in crossing a safe level crossing point, the more we expect fewer vehicle-human collision. And the more people use their motorcycles safely, the more we see motorcycle-related deaths and injuries.
Thank you very much, Superintendent, for the education on accidents, particularly the statistics. But before you go, we saw an increased level of traffic jams on the roads, especially in the capital, during the festive season. We know that ahead of the holidays, there was a committee which the police was passed to ensure that things are in place so that such inconveniences don't come up. How can you explain that?
We don't let us zero it in on inconvenience. Because the point is that Christmas allows, promote outward social interaction, and that's what we saw. Let us also don't let us also lose sight of the fact that in Ghana currently, our communication is on the road. And let's get that facts. And when we are okay with it, that trains are not available, trams are not available, and the air is not adequate enough to carry more, or not affordable, but majority are on foot. So we expect that if annual increase of about 100,000 vehicles to the existing one, you expect that there will be high motor vehicle congestion on our CBD roads and police urban jurisdictional corridors. And so it was expected, and that's why a lot of police officers were committed, and that's why sensitization was enhanced. And for me, others have said that, oh, this year the Christmas was okay. Why? Because they think that a lot of Ghanaians troop from the peri-urban to the city and to the center and patronize most of the wares that when protests brought in, and that it has increased somebody's capital. It is increasing the base of the economy, and that, if you see it that way, you will not say that, oh, the congestion created what do you call inconvenience.
Did
However,
the year of return contributes to this?
There are so many planned activities of the state and individuals that combine to manifest in this way, and therefore it is. Oh yes, you cannot write it out. However, let's know that this is Christmas, and it's not that we are experiencing this that we've forgotten about last year. Christmas comes with a lot of outward.
So
activities.
We knew this would happen.
Yes, and we. That's why we optimally also used the limited resources of road we have. But you know that between 23rd, 24th, what do you call, most of our road, particularly in the urban environment, will be congested. But by 24th midnight, it was all right, except other conurbated areas in our city center that experienced, because people were merrymaking and were going to church and came, and at certain junctions they were there. However,
did we plan alternate routes, for instance?
Alternative routes, you see, let's also know that our motorists are smart guys. They have the mental map of our roads, and we did a lot that we could. We also know that much of the congestion was also on the highway, and we are still managing a strategic location. What was important for police was that where we expected traffic to congest, the gridlock, traffic police officers were deployed. So approaches will be heavily congested. But when you get to the traffic, the junction, you see police officers there. And that also helps. Right. And again, there are a lot of motorcycle patrol, and then traffic teams, particularly the APS, were all over directing, controlling, and seeing to it that those that have departed from their point of departure do not take the law into their own hands. So in the middle of the road, they were there being checked. And we hope to sustain this one through today, tomorrow, and to the 1st and 2nd. We believe that last year, before I end, last year between 31st 2017 and then 1st January 2018, within 2 days we experienced 66 crashes and 21 people died within 2 days of celebrating the new year. We are there again. We have brought this one out to remind Ghanaians that we have not forgotten where we are coming from. And so it should define where we have gotten to that. We are resolved to ensure that we don't repeat this thing. So let us be safe, maintain, take good care of our vehicles, and occupy vehicle responsibly, and walk by the roadside responsibly, and drive responsibly.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Alex Obeng. He is with the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. Now, government is expected to increase budgetary allocations to the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program in 2020. This was disclosed by the head of communications at the LEAP program, Mr. Coulson and Kabasiam. The move, among others, is to help help shore up funding support to the program to make it more impactful to beneficiaries. Over 332,000 households have been covered under the program, but the 32 Ghana cedi stipend is woefully inadequate and requires a review according to beneficiaries. In a Skype interview with my colleague Enimwa Enimado this morning, Head of Communications as the lead program, Mr. Coulson, said a review is only possible if they get more funding and support.
The value of the grant has eroded over time, and this is affecting the impact of the program and the basis for which we think that we still need continuous government and donor support to ensure that we review the grant to reflect inflationary trends, cost of living, and other indicators of livelihood. I keep telling people, if you don't help the poor, poor has no logic, poverty has no logic. They will find their way to survive. And survival is a human instinct. We must commit greater resources. But we are excited that 2019, government allocated 168 million to the program. 2020, we have gotten an increase to 200 million. That is, we are grateful, but we still think that we need to do more in terms of increasing the grant and expanding the program to reach out to all extremely poor and vulnerable households in this country. Status of funding from 2008, there is political commitment, which I think Ghanaians have accepted it. The other one is that we need to also find ways of also improving the productive capacity of this beneficiary through literacy training, sensitization, behavioral change. Because poverty sometimes becomes a culture. You may not think that you have the potential to get your way out. But as we regularly meet them through the beneficiary fora and other media, we sensitize them to ensure that don't just consume everything, find a way of, at least part of it, investing it in something that is productive so that you can improve your outcomes. And intermittently, we'll be assessing them to see, are you worse off, better off, or well off?
Now, it's a region many have linked with Christmas festivities, key among which is the Masquerade Festival. I'm talking about the Western region and specifically Sekondi TAKORADI. Well, what started several decades ago as the Fancy Dress Festival, which sees hundreds of locals sporting colorful costumes and masks parading the streets during Christmas, has evolved into one big celebration, attracting people from far and near. My colleagues Komla Adum and Mapitu Sibidi, first-time visitors in TAKORADI, in the first of our series, Christmas in Tadi report, the numbers were unprecedented.
25th in the new year, Watadi, Abete. 25th in the new year, the one day, baby, I don't want to. 25th in the new year, Watadi.
We are in TAKORADI, Christmas in Tadi, first time in Tadi. Very excited. I am excited. I can't wait for the festivities.
It's a busy city when you arrive on Christmas Eve. There's a mad rush among the young, old, and everyone in between for their fancy masqueraders' costumes.
We're told it can degenerate into fisticuffs sometimes when people are unable to get their costumes in time.
The Market Circle streets are the center of all the action on the 25th, the 26th, and the days after. Along the streets is the headquarters of one of more than 40 fancy groups, Valencia. Last-minute stitches and fittings are being done. This little kid, just 10 years, makes these masks that are being sold here.
This is your biggest one, eh? Oh.
At GSTS campus, we are told the Supreme Masquerader Society, described as more than just a society, and its members are warming up to hit the streets. Now, this session here is spiritual. I could feel my skin break into several bumps.
Interesting to see the costuming, you know, the kind of energy these people have.
And we also know that the Supreme is the largest group, the masquerade group. So, I mean, we're obviously expecting a lot of numbers, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of kids, people who can't even barely speak, but they're already wearing their masks, and costume.
Like ants on an anthill, they poured out, and before long, it was a crowd. Komla and I were not the only first-timers here. We had good company.
I saw some pictures from my friends. I actually work with their company, so when I saw the pictures, I said, oh, wow, so I have to drive all the way from Kumasi to this place. It's my first time with my uniform, and I'm with Supreme One Share.
Everything is fine. Midday, no,
Comedian Clemento Suarez would not be left out of the fun.
I had those in it, baby. No, I can't film. But Midday, yeah, I've come to enjoy ourselves. I mean, this is just the beginning, but you can see the frenzy and everything. Everything is on point.
Now, a fancy costume of literally all the bright colors, of course, specific on design and make to each of the 40-plus groups, a pair of snow-white flat soles with white socks to match.
That's all you see here.
A little after midday, the procession begins, and this, my friends, is a carnival.
The crowd of masqueraders meal through the market circle streets, receiving chants and cheers from frantic onlookers, some of whom are stuck up on high buildings just to catch a glimpse.
And from the top of the buildings, all you observe is a sea of colors and the sounds of music blasted by the band.
Unfortunately, what you feel here cannot be described in words. It is an experience.
And mind you, all the masquerader groups,
Spain, Canada, Holy Cities, Justice, Cosmos, Millionaires, USA, Unity,
Oshewa Kumemu,
Oil City,
Oaks,
Benche,
Sanato,
parade their members in their unique costumes and bands. For each fancy group, the charge and the vibe is different.
It was indeed an amazing experience. See you in Tadi next year. Now, though, it's time for business. Stay with us.